This is the Friday, March 7th, 2014 version of the Market Plus segment. Joining us now is Sue Martin. Sue, welcome back.
Thank you, Mike.
On the show, I had to cut you off, but we were talking hog pricing. You mentioned that Monday, Russia begins to accept hogs or pork from the United States. Where do you see the market going beyond front month April?
Well, when I look at the June contract, I do these wave count projections, and they're not really an Elliott wave per se, but a wave 4, which is usually like the brick wall of China, a wave 4 is 118, I think it's 118.80. And a wave 5, which I don't think I've ever seen a wave 5 in hogs, but a wave 5 would be 131.50, 40, something like that. Since we've already done a wave 4, what's interesting is the move has been coming so quickly. And you know, when you look at the Ukraine, what do? They eat a lot of pork. And Russia, a lot of pork. And you know, a situation also with Russia is, if you remember the Olympics, the weather was abnormal. It was very warm. Snowpack in the mountains was not what they were needing for skiing, or would have liked, let's put it that way. So I think that what was interesting was when Russia dropped the ban of pork imports from the U.S., and they're to start March 10th, that next week they also went to the European Commission and also dropped the ban with imports of European pork as well. I think they need pork and food, but I also kind of think they were sort of thinking about what was going to happen and that they were going to do some aggression. I think there was a little more under the table known. But all that said, when you look at the hog market, we're looking at this, the normal time of the year for your highs and hogs usually tends to be in the June to the first week of July, usually around the 7th, 8th of July. And it seems like here we are already at a wave 4 in the June hogs, and we're just into March. It makes me wonder what's going to happen here, and maybe we have a nice, healthy little correction before we move on higher. I'm not going to say you can't see 130, you might, but I would suspect that's after a break follows here if we're going to see that. As far as the PED virus, we're heading towards what we hope is warmer temperatures and moderating weather. So I would think that virus would tend to kind of settle down a little bit and abate maybe to some degree. But we're certainly a year into this and not been able to get it stopped yet. And now you've got Canada with it, although so far their number of cases isn't all that aggressive yet. But it wasn't with us at first either. And so we have to keep that in mind, and they haven't got a solution to it yet or a vaccination. So I think this hog market's going to be one that's going to percolate off and on. But as far as number of pigs, we're certainly losing a fair amount. And, those are future mouths to feed corn and soy meal to.
That's right. So we're going to have to be feeding them a lot heavier in order to make up
with
for
some of it. Yes.
the lost mouths.
And, those last pounds take a lot of feed.
Yes, they do. Now, you mentioned moderating weather. Right then, we've got a number of folks who are concerned about the weather, particularly the frost depth we're seeing throughout the Corn Belt. In some places, we're looking 3 to 4 feet thick of frost. We're probably looking at a late planting season. Is the market taking that into consideration yet?
Yes, it is. It's starting to think about it because we are into March, and at the end of March, we'll have our first prospective plantings report. So it is thinking about it. The one thing I think that's interesting is it depends on what weather service you look at. I have seen some weather maps that show in the month of April that we should see a very marked change and be very warm, above normal in temps and below normal in precip in much of the country. Just totally opposite of what you would normally think. If that prevails, planting is going to come off very quickly. In the western Corn Belt, the eastern may still lag a little bit, but they'll get going too. My biggest fear is that the eastern Corn Belt, because of all the snowpack and the melting that they're going to go through and the ice coming off of the Great Lakes region, you name it, I fear that they could have a cool late spring. And with a cool late spring, if they have a shallow rooted system and then you set up a Bermuda high in the southeast, which we could do this year, and it backs up, that eastern corn belt's where they're going to be susceptible to a flash drought. Conversely, the western corn belt, you look at Nebraska, and they've been having temperatures fluctuating all over the place, 50s, 60s, you name it. This weekend, they're to be in the 60s. But they're also very dry. They don't have a speck of snow. But yet, you look at the Rockies, there's a really good snowpack in the Rockies. That's got to melt off. And last fall, we had those floods in Colorado, which filled the aquifers and the reservoirs for the Platte River Valley? Mm-hmm. And that feeds a lot of irrigation in Nebraska and down into Kansas. So I think there's some good things for the Western Corn Belt, and so we'll see just how well we handle this. But no doubt about it, with all that frost, like in Iowa, for example, and Minnesota, boy, and even into Missouri, that frost in the ground, we aren't going to get a lot of benefit out of this snow when it melts.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to see it all going down the river.
That's right.
Now, before we let you go, there was an interesting story over these past 10 days with the oat market, particularly in Canada and the inability to get oats moved. And we saw a tremendous rally. And we don't talk oats very much on Market to Market, but I was hoping to get your thoughts. Are we starting to come back down in pricing? What happened in that market?
Well, oats was limit down today. And I think, first off, oats has been record high over the price of corn, record high. And the trade has been caught short because they just didn't think that oats could do this. And the logistics up in Canada have not been so that shale's been commanding all the rail, and so they haven't gotten oats moved. So they had the Ag Ministry and Logistics met on Friday to talk about this and to come up with a solution, and rail was their focus. And I think that sent the oat markets, south. And you've got government reports coming up Monday, although, they don't pay attention much to oats on that. But the one thing I want to caution people from doing, investors from doing, is saying, okay, I've been caught on the march, I'll just roll these shorts to May, eventually I'll get my money. And then they roll eventually to July. But I want to caution, let's put it this way, the last 2 times we've had this occur, both times anyone sticking around and doing that, rolling out, got in trouble.
All right. Keep an eye on it and handle it carefully.
Yes.
All right, Sue, we're going to let you go. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for sending in your questions via Facebook and Twitter. Please continue to do so, and we'll continue to get expert analysis right to you. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.